Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
On the island to the sunset.
Welcome on into the Johnnie Bobbo Show, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah, all the other fun stuff that's going on. Yeah, there it is. Still love it. We got our guy here, Keith Grieve, working for us in the. Oh, so much, Keith. You bring an aspect to this show that I'm telling you, it wouldn't be the same without you, and I would sound a lot worse. That is for certain, but. We do think that Bob is going to be with us a little bit later on in the show. If you want to listen to the Johnnie Bobbo Show, you can either download it on iTunes, download it on your Spreaker app. You can listen to it right now, or you can be listening to it streaming right now on latenightsportsradio.com. But we're going to get into the Fantasy Greek a little bit later on in the show. We're going to talk to our baseball JediMaster Barry M. Bloom. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the NLWest. They're spending a lot of money between the Giants and what's going on with San Diego. If they're going to get back into things, the Diamondbacks are making some moves. Later on, we'll talk to Cody Vancura. If you want to give us a call at any point, it's 585-633-7487. But, we're going to start things out with a World Series champion and author, Homer Bush. Leading off our final show here, we're going to talk a little bit about the approaches of YoenisCespedes, JasonHeyward, JustinUpton, and kind of pinpoint why they've stand out, at least to this point, out of the free agent targets around Major League Baseball. So let me ask you, Homer, how you doing today?
Outstanding, John. Thanks for having me.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate you coming on this late at night here, but that's the time they give us, so that's what we got to work with, So I gotta congratulate you. I know you just had a wedding anniversary, but you also had some other big news coming out today. You're going to be working as the director of youth baseball programs for Texas Rangers. Is that right? Yes.
Fantastic opportunity for me to get in the front office, and I enjoy working with kids, and so it can go many different directions, with years to come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And was this something you kind of were working on for a while, or did you? I mean, it's kind of a great opportunity. You know what I mean? And to kind of run into something like that, I mean, that's great.
Yes. Once I saw the job was posted about 6 weeks ago, I jumped right on it. Asked for a sit down and went in and had a conversation with them, and they liked what I had to say, and so we put it together. Okay, cool.
Being the director, you have to at least be able to. Pretty much implement just about anything you want. I'm sure you got to get there's some approval involved there, but I mean, knowing that you have, worked with children before, what are you going to try to bring, to the Texas Rangers here in terms of getting out to the younger kids and, at least kind of bringing up some of the numbers, with youth in baseball. Cause I mean, obviously you've seen the numbers, decline in football. You'd only think that, some other sport's going to pick up some of that slack. I would imagine baseball's got to be right there.
Yes, what I'm looking to do is take a complicated game and simplify it so the kids can have more success and enjoy the game more. I think the game has become extremely difficult due to travel ball, not only just expensive, but travel ball where 5 and 6 players are going from one team to another team with their best 5 and 6, and nobody wants to go and get their heads beat in and day out. So I'm hoping to simplify the game. And so they can, bring that passion back for them.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I'm all about that. I got a little, 5-year-old. We're getting him into baseball this year for the first time, so that's gonna be cool for me to kind of, help teach him along, because I have for other kids. So that's gonna be exciting. But one of the things I got to ask you here, what did you think about that JasonHeyward signing with the Cubs? I mean, he took less money, compared to some of the other offers that he had out there on the table. But were you surprised that he ended up with the Cubs? Because, I wasn't sure that the Cubs were really looking, to add, another hitter.
I was totally surprised, but only a little bit, because the Cubs feel that they're just, a couple big players away. I think what they noticed after last season was that they've got to continue to improve their offense. They have some good offensive players, but I think Heyward would solidify that offense. But here's the thing. I personally feel, just after studying the data as long as I have, I don't think they could have gone wrong. After they got Zobrist, I thought they could have signed Upton and Cespedes at a cheaper price and still been one of the favorites to win the World Series.
Yeah, no, I mean it's been absolutely incredible. At least, like I said, knowing that even Zobrist took less money to come there, it just seems like it's a good fit. And I mean, with all these free agents, flocking at this point to Chicago, or to the north side of Chicago here for less money. I mean, what does that say about the organization? Because I mean, you having played for the Yankees know everything about playing within a great organization like that, and so I would only imagine it's got to be at least impressive, and there is a reason why all these free agents are making that that trip to Chicago.
Sure, absolutely. If I had to take a stab at it, I would say everyone got an opportunity to see them all season last year. All the excitement with the young players and the awesome manager, and you throw a seasoned president / GM and Theo with put them in front of free agent, sell them on the production from last year, take a few dollars less. We're going to sign another big player. Just paint to the big pretty picture of how we're just this close to winning the World Series after over a decade in Chicago. So close to, so I think all the pieces. It was just kind of like a perfect storm to get people to go, because there's a lot of good things that can happen if they win a championship.
Oh yeah, no kidding. But maybe one of the things that kind of surprised me a little bit here is not only did Heyward come over here to Chicago, which was a big deal in itself, but now what do you think their approach is going to be here with his swing? Because I mean, obviously he got a pretty quick bat through the zone, pretty relatively impressive bat speed for a guy his size, and he does seem to be in a crouch quite a bit. Do you think that that's something that the Cubs are going to try to work on and maybe kind of try to get him to stand more upright, or are they just better off just leaving him alone with his approach? Because, as the numbers that you sent over to me, it shows he does hit the ball pretty well down the zone.
Yeah, that's can you imagine if he got more upright? It would limit his production down there, and his numbers would probably suffer. I think they're going to just let him be, because what they're looking to do is not only use his extra base hit production from a double, with 10 to 15 home runs. They're also looking for him to be on base when Bryant, Rizzo, and those guys come to the plate. So I honestly, with if you can have Zobrist and Heyward in front of Bryant and Rizzo, just leave him be. He'll be on base, and then he'll help you score runs more efficiently with some doubles. I don't think they're going to change. I don't think they really want him to be. They'll take it, but they don't want for his other numbers to suffer. So his production is what they need to be successful, if you ask me.
No, absolutely. No, I'm with you on that. And again, we're talking to Homer Bush, former New York Yankee, Toronto Blue Jay, Florida Marlin, and then back with the Yankees again. But author of Hitting Low in the Zone, and this is a book you can pick it up on Amazon. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely check it out. But it's talking about obviously hitting low in the zone, but knowing the snap adjustments that Heyward's been able to make, does that kind of come from maybe him focusing lower in the zone? Is it easier, would you say, as a hitter, to bring your eyes, bring them up rather than bring your eyes down with the pitch? If you're kind of already looking down in the zone, is it easier maybe to adjust to some of these other pitches as they're coming to you?
Right. So what I've learned through the data, and I'm able to apply the mechanics by the elite hitters, is that they angle the body at a certain point in the process of hitting, and it allows them to be down there where the catcher is and where most of the pitches are going to settle to make the best decisions and lay off that elevated fastball, which is extremely difficult to hit. The book, Hitting Low in the Zone, A New Baseball Paradigm, is basically, you've got to have the mechanics that's going to allow you to have a large volume of success. I know athleticism is important, but if you just look all around the major leagues, there are different body types, different types of athleticism. But the one thing that's the common theme with all elite hitters is that they get 2/3 of their production from the knees down to the ground, which is the total opposite of hitting when at least from when I grew up to where I am now. Mm-hmm. So that's, and the cool thing about it is the data will reproduce itself every year. If you don't have the proper mechanics, your numbers will suffer. But if you're able to do it, guys like Cespedes and Heyward and Upton, these guys are getting 90 and upwards of to 140, 150 hits down there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of on that same note, at least in terms of hitting for power, a guy like YoenisCespedes, with the success, I mean, he is able to get down on a pitch like that, and that's kind of interesting. Is how are you able to find power by hitting low in the zone? Because most of the times, it's either a pitch that's left up in the zone that gets hit out, or there's always different ways of putting loft on it, but Cespedes, he's a line drive hitter, but somehow still is able to hit, have power with stuff down in the zone. Why is that?
Ted Williams, Rock Carew, they all talk about that. It's kind of like the, like a cricketer. Bryce Harper does it, where you get that weight to the front side, the barrel comes underneath, and so the barrel needs to stay in the zone longer down there, which builds up bat speed, and catching on an uptick, get the right trajectory. Like they say, physics of get up to 100 feet and travel 300 to 400 feet. So you've got to be able to be a front foot hitter. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, they all did it.
Yeah, and with Cespedes, it seemed like once JasonHeyward signed, you figure the rest of the dominoes are going to sign here when it comes through free agency. And seeing how Cespedes, he's been around, obviously Oakland, Boston, Detroit, New York, and that's just over the last couple seasons here, and it didn't seem like he left on the best of terms. Now that you think that he's going to be able to choose his own landing spot, is he going to go for a place where he's going to sign for the most amount of money he can get, or do you think he's actually going to try to find a place where he's happy and he actually feels like he's a good fit? Of course it's tough to say, but if I had to guess, I would think he'd want to go to Anaheim, make a deal happen. If I know that teams are saying, "Hey, we're out on this person." My mom always say when you're talking to someone, don't look at their mouth, look at their feet. Their feet will tell you what they're going to do. And so I think most teams are still, in the hunt because he's such a unique talent. I'll be honest with you. I thought personally, I know OPS is important to a lot of people. Anything that has to do with large volumes of walks, I don't want to have anything to do with, because when they don't want you to hurt them, they give you a walk. So, but Cespedes, he's type guy. I mean, he's a 180 hit guy. Hit 30 home runs. He'll drive in. Hit 40 doubles. So I thought he was the best offensive player in the free agency. So for me, I think the Mets are still in play. I don't know how they're going to replace his production that made them elite the second half of the season once Cespedes got there along with a couple of other trades. Mm-hmm. But if I had to guess it, I would say Anaheim would be a good place for him. And I know they're not talking them up, but I don't remember the Cubs talking up Heyward either. So right. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, no, I hear you too. And that was, like I said, that was such a shocker to everybody. Because everybody thought they were just going pitching. But the last couple of years, if we learned anything, it's the mystery team. The dub mystery team that seems to sneak in and kind of grab a lot of these these bigger names. But that's something. Now you think about another guy that's able to produce quite a bit of power and has kind of been a streakier hitter. What's your feelings here on JustinUpton? I feel like he's a productive hitter. A little bit maybe more of an uppercut swing, but again, still effective down in the zone.
Yes, as a matter of fact, his last year in Atlanta was very productive. His production fell off a little bit, but nowadays, if you can hit 20 home runs, driving 80 RBI, they love it. So, I think he can do that in his sleep, but he also has the ability to, hit 30 and drive in 120 if he get with the right team. So that's why I was saying if he had gone to the Cubs for a cheaper price, I don't think they were going to lose much. But since they got Heyward, they had to, pay the premium for that OPS.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And Upton's always been a great fastball hitter, and it does seem like he does need to make some adjustments when it does come down to some of the breaking balls. What would you say is the more difficult thing about it? At least picking up some of the fastballs down in the zone rather than the breaking balls and some of the off-speed stuff down in the zone.
John, the most amazing thing, and people, when I say this, they look at me like I'm crazy. We're almost too talented for baseball because can you imagine if they throw us a breaking ball, we're not late on it.
Right.
We're too fast for it. So we have to find a way to control the body. And, the weirdest thing is the backside of the body has to come off the ground or go backwards to stay back. So with a small, slight adjustment, I know the perception is if you keep your hands back, you can wait on that off speed. But once that front side commits, you cannot stay back with any kind of power or having a good swing. So it's you anchor the front side like a hockey shot, and let the like the stick will come through or the barrel come through, and the back foot comes up like Bryce Harper.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be the adjustment. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. And it's a lot of that. It kind of leads to this next question is how he is such a streaky hitter. Why is there anything that in your data that you've been able to kind of see or pick up, or maybe, through some just having watched him, why do you think he is such a streaky hitter? Why do just ball players in general, have a hard time, keeping their mechanics so consistent and, go on these long extended streaks?
Yeah, man, they don't want to miss that fastball. They're thinking, man, I'm going to get this fastball this time. Oh, I didn't get it that time. I know he's going to give it to me this time. You really have to say it again.
Overthinking,
Overthinking, react to what you see. Don't guess. As I study the data and the mechanics of the pitch and the swing, you're talking milliseconds as far as needing to be able to stay back. But like I say, we're almost too aggressive for the game of baseball because the body has to have the discipline that's needed. When the ball is traveling almost 60 feet, 100 miles an hour, it doesn't matter. If it's down low enough, you're not going to be late. You're only going to be late if you recognize it late because you have plenty of time to swing because we don't even swing the bat until the ball is beyond 300 milliseconds. So it's the weirdest thing. It's probably more than most people want to hear, but we're just too aggressive as ball players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's absolutely one of the problems. I even know that just obviously from my own experience, but it's a lot of it's picking up on the rotation of the ball and kind of looking for the seams and knowing what to look for. I think is one of the things that always made a lot of the hitters that I knew that were better was a lot to do with their eyes. They hit what they saw. They saw the seams. You know what I mean? If it was a big blur, they knew they were seeing a fastball. If it was the vertical seams, they knew it was going to be a curveball. And same thing with the changeup. The changeup goes white on you. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's things that you look for to pick up on that kind of stuff. But what is a guy like Dusty Baker? Okay, going to be able to bring to the Washington Nationals because he's always had the notion where he wasn't really all that interested in giving rookies more time. He was always more tailored his roster and his lineup towards the veterans. I'm not sure if Miguel Cairo is going to be coming out of retirement to help him out. Pretty sure he fouled Dusty around everywhere. But he played for guys like Joe Torre, Jim Fregosi, Buck Martinez, Jeff Torborg. What is a guy like Dusty can be able to bring to a group that does have a considerable younger core?
The thing that I really liked about Dusty Baker from afar, and I had an opportunity to meet him this summer, doing some stuff for MLB, and he's true to form, just old school, be aggressive, play hard, stay out of trouble. I have your back. Yeah, and it reminds me of Madden. Madden is a little bit more jovial, upbeat, fun type of guy, but the same they both have the same characteristic, and that is they support their players so they can go out and give them the best they have for that day. And Dusty's the exact same way. He's had success as a player, so he knows the game. He's had success as a manager, so he knows how to manage a game. His key, I think personally, is to continue to get the aggressive play out of his players and just have their backs because the pressure of the game of baseball can hurt one's performance. And I think he eliminates that from a player mindset by telling them, hey, I'm not looking for an average or a certain home run total. I'm just looking for you to go out and give me everything you got.
right?
Day in and day out. I think that's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm with you. And so I got another thing here, but before I even get to that, we got to tell people. So you can get your book on Amazon, but what are some ways, other ways people can find it? And just tell me, why do people need this book?
They really need it because, I played the game at the highest level, and there are things in that book that I didn't even know. One is every pitch is on a downward trajectory, even a fastball. Mm-hmm. It talks about where the elite hitters have their success, which is outside of the strike zone but down. And if you can't get to a certain number, it's going to be difficult to have a successful season as a player, which, when you get into Little League, high school, and college, it's hard to get to the professional ranks if you don't have volumes of production. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about baseball is that, hey, my son can hit the ball 400 feet, but shit, if he can only do it 3 times,
right,
because he's looking in an area where there's just not many opportunities, it's going to be difficult to be successful. The elite hitters, they all have success from the knees down to the ground. So from there, built the mechanics. I mean, it's proven. Read the book, go to the video, and they match up perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can find that. You can check them out, Homer Bush Official on Facebook. You can also find them on Twitter at Bush Homer. And you also do some other stuff. You do some investment stuff. And like I said, now you got hooked up with the Texas Rangers, working with them, 1998 World Series champion. And the last thing I got to ask you, Homer, because you're on top of everything sports-wise. You're always out there. Following you on Facebook is great because I know if anything happens in sports, you got something to say about it. So we'll keep the baseball, so I don't get too crazy with it. But Bobbo, once he joins us, he'll enjoy this. What are your thoughts, at least, about Pete Rose being denied, acceptance back into Major League Baseball?
Before I heard some of the revelations that came out after the decision came down, mm-hmm. that Mr. Rose was still, betting on baseball, I totally understood, why Commissioner Manfred made the decision, to keep the integrity of the game safe. You don't want to turn around and make the same mistake. But prior to that, knowing that information, I thought it was time. Pete has done things in the game that would never, ever be done again. As far as I think Ichiro has an opportunity to do something unique like that, but just as far as being here in the MLB, I think Pete that's just amazing what he did. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of a player, daily grind, day in, day out. He's human, made a mistake, slap him on the wrist for 25 years in a row, and let's put him back in the game. But I totally understand why the decision was made. But after hearing that, I promise you, I'm changing my tune, and I just hope that at some point, something positive can happen for him that shows that his efforts were appreciated during his career.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Homer, and thank you so much for starting our final show of the year off. And we appreciate you having on, man. I hope everything goes great with this book. Again, it's called Hitting Low in the Zone. You can check it out on Facebook. You can buy it on Amazon. And honestly, it's a pretty good read, man. So I appreciate it again. Homer, thank you so much. And when we come back here, we're going to talk to Barry M. Bloom of MLB.com. So you're listening to Johnnie Bobbo Show right here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Lost or found love, lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in a moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. sleeping as they dream of ghosts of beats filled with desire. The chance of life is all around, a chance to take is always found. Oh, writing on the lullabies on the long living life. Oh, in the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Take another second to keep breathing in the moment before it's gone. You never know when love is lost until you find just what it costs to be wrong. I wonder if you think of me passing by, you think you see me coming. I wonder if you pull me in, kiss me just one time again. The final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. In the final hours of night, do you remember? Lost or found, love lying by your side. Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know you're down the neck. Ooh, la, la, ooh, na, 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 oh. Yeah, you keep me guessing on confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle. I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. I never know nobody like you. Ooh, na, 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 ooh, now, now I know
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app and downloads on iTunes. We just got done talking baseball with our former World Series champion, Homer Bush, but now we're going to bring it to Barry M. Bloom at Boomski on the Twitter bot, and also national reporter on baseball, columnist, writes his blog on MLB, Boomski on baseball. How are you, Barry? I'm sure you got to be doing pretty good. Is that your first grandkid? Is that right?
Oh yeah, I'm floating on air. It's like a much better experience than I expected. Fantastic.
Oh, I can only imagine, and it's just great. At least that you found time for us with all this crazy stuff going on. It seems like you're always on the move and at sporting events or something cool. That's got to be great.
Yeah, it's a good life. I always say that wake up in the morning healthy, go to the ballpark. I've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah, how about that? And so, when it comes down to the Cubs, I can't imagine they have too much to complain about. Picking up JasonHeyward and with the additions of John Lackey and Ben Zobrist. I mean, how do you think this is going to pan out? Obviously, everyone's going to be put down on a pedestal at this moment, but do you feel they're going to be as good as everyone's kind of making them out to be at this moment?
Well, let me preface this by saying that, I'm kind of tired of picking the teams that won the winter and look good out of spring training to do well during the season. I mean, you just don't know as things play themselves out. I mean, I think as I watched the Cubs, even towards the postseason, I was pretty amazed that they won as many regular season games as they did with the bullpen they had. I mean, they haven't fixed that. Lackey gives them a good number 3 besides Arrieta and Lester, but Lester had a lousy year. He's going to have to do a lot better. And, certainly Zobrist is going to help, but I'm not sure why he became the flavor of the moment and everybody was so excited about signing him. He's 35 years old.
Right.
Late free agents never seem to work out. They're what I call second blush free agents. When you get them at 27 or 28, that you're really in pretty good shape. I really like the fact that Yankees got Starlin Castro at 25 years old with $44 million to go on his contract for 2020. I mean, that to me is money well spent because you're getting somebody at the prime of his career, going into the prime of his career. So, yeah, I mean, the Cubs went to the championship series. They got swept by the Mets and looked terrible, really. JasonHeyward you didn't even throw into the mix there, and the guys you mentioned, and they paid almost $200 million there to a guy who had 13 home runs last year. So we'll see how it all throws together, and I could probably give you the same answer to that question with every team what they've done so far this year.
Yeah, and why is it you think that some of these guys were willing to take less money to go to the Cubs? Do you feel like maybe that says something about the organization, or even on top of that, just knowing that the Cardinals, that they've dealt with as many losses as they had through free agency, and now Yachty with his thumb, and it seems like the Pirates are still having problems too.
Well, if you notice now over the course of the years, the Cardinals are one organization that seems to have problems re-signing their players. They couldn't sign Albert after they won the World Series in 2011, and they offered him a lot of money, but the Angels offered him more, and he opted to go to the American League where, he could DH. I mean, that's a major thing, and, we get sidetracked on that, but until the National League goes to the DH, you're going to have this type of stuff happening, basically over and over again. And I think it tells you, why does somebody take a little bit less money to go to a certain situation? I think it just tells you a lot about that player. It's a lot of money either way. So, I mean, it used to be that the union wanted you to take the most money and go where the best contract was, but they don't seem to be pressuring players to do that anymore. because it's so much money that it really doesn't make any difference. To me, like ZackGreinke, he's a hired gun. I mean, he went where the money and the longest contract was. He didn't go to the team that he was most capable of winning with. If he had wanted to do that, he would have gone to the Giants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's just the individual player and the situation. You know, a guy like Zobrist coming off of a world championship with the Royals, you know, could pick and choose. It was the right moment for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do you think is going to be a team that's going to take on a guy like Yasiel Puig? And what do you think is it's going to take? I think it'll take less than people think to get him away from the Dodgers. What do you think?
Well, right now I'm not convinced that they're going to get rid of Yasiel Puig. I mean, there's a lot of talk about that, but you know, I think you know their outfield. They still have Carl Crawford, who never plays a full season. You know, Puig had a bad year last year, but he had compound hamstring problems that occurred, you know, twice during the season that knocked him out for a good period of time. And he's a raw player, and you know, really, he's just learning how to play the game in the major leagues. So I'm not sure with his contract that they're going to dump him. I just don't think they have the replacement for him. Their lineup was pretty weak in the playoffs last year, if you remember.
Yeah.
Do you see, as far as the NLWest goes, do you think with what San Francisco has done, do you think they're loaded up and ready to go for another run this year?
Look, San Francisco, if Hunter Pence hadn't been hurt for most of the season last year, you know, he missed practically the first half of the season when he got hit by a pitch in spring training, and then he missed the whole month of September with an oblique. They would have won the division last year, even with a pitching staff that was on gas and hurt and whatever. They still, I think, lost by only 6 games behind the Dodgers. So I think by reloading their pitching staff, you know, they went as far as they were going to go with the core of Lincecum, Kane, and Bumgarner. They had Vogelsong, they had Zito in that mix, they had Jonathan Sanchez in 2010. You know, it just, all the innings, all the injuries, it just played itself out. Now you've got Kane coming back after 2 years of injuries, and they're hoping that he's going to be able to fill in as the number 5 starter.
Yeah, you know, and that's something. I mean, even like with a guy like JeffSamardzija now, you know, with his few things on his arm, he actually does have, you know, with all the time that he actually spent in the bullpen with the Cubs, rather than kind of racking up a bunch of innings in the minor leagues. I mean, obviously your guess is as good as anybody's when it comes down to injuries. But do you feel like at least the Cubs or the Giants maybe got somewhat of a bargain on a guy that doesn't have as many starting innings, you know, kind of thrown into his career at this point?
Yeah, I think he's an innings eater, and he's a perfect number 3 or 4 for that staff. I mean, and in that ballpark, it's a division with a lot of big stadiums, except for Arizona and Colorado. And the other 3 are pretty good to pitch in. I see him doing very well there for the Giants.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, you know, when I'm thinking about, you know, the Dodgers, you know, they lose ZackGreinke, he goes to the Diamondbacks. And then the whole thing with Hisashi Iwakuma, it seems like that hit a snag now with his physical. How are they going to be able to replace that? Because the last couple of years, they've kind of been able to just, you know, find veterans and just kind of fill guys in there in that starting rotation over time here. But do you think they're going to be able to cope well with a loss of a guy like ZackGreinke and losing that consistency?
Well, I mean, if you look at their postseason, I mean, not only was their season a mess, really, and they were lucky to win the division, but they had pitching injuries up the yin-yang all season, starting with Ryu in spring training.
Yep.
And then, you know, McCarthy went down. They tried Latos at the trade deadline. He was horrible, wound up being released. You know, then they couldn't re-sign Greinke. I was told that Greinke, basically close to his agent, went to the Dodgers and said he wants 6 years. They never offered him 6 years.
Okay.
They offered him 5 years at very good money, and when the Diamondbacks offered him 6 years, he took it. The Giants didn't offer him apparently 6 years either. I mean, Greinke told them what he wanted. This is an organization that with a $300 million payroll and an $8 billion television contract that could afford to give Greinke another year. They decided not to do that. Then they went out and traded for a closer in Chapman who wound up in a domestic abuse case, and that trade went down the tubes.
Right.
They now have signed, a guy who has repeatedly been injured over the last couple of years, Iwakuma, and that looks like it's going down the tubes. And they're basically all the big pitchers in the market, Price, Cueto, Samardzija, Greinke, as we said, they're all gone. So I mean, they're up there now trying to get Jake Odorizzi from the Rays, which I'm sure Andrew Friedman knows him well because he came up through the system there when Friedman was the president. But this is what they're basically reduced to now, because their number 2 pitcher is essentially, Brian Anderson, who took a qualifying offer to come back and was pretty much lousy as the number 3 all year last year.
Yeah.
So I just don't, it makes no sense to me. The Dodgers fired 41 people in player development and international after the season, or late in the season.
Yeah.
They fired their entire coaching staff and the manager, except for the pitching coach. They have to rebuild from there. They've hired a manager, a guy, Dave Roberts, who I love, but has no experience. And it's a very tough locker room to be able to manage. That's where Mattingly was at his best. Now, I just don't see what the ownership there is doing. And, it harkens back to, it's been really a mess there since O'Malley owned the franchise.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting too, because they have such a surplus of prospects coming up. When they talked about Nate Friedman taking over the job, that was supposed to be the 2020 Cubs deal, where you got all this money coming in, you have all these prospects and already major league ready talent all there for you. I thought that was kind of weird that they were willing to take on the White Sox prospects, because the White Sox they're not known for their minor league system, and so for them to team up to get the deal done with the Cincinnati Reds for the White Sox to pick up Todd Frazier, what did you think, at least, about the Dodgers picking up Micah Johnson, Frankie Montas, and Trace Thompson?
I'm just, I'm not a big prospects guy. I mean, if you look at deals over the course of time, the Phillies deal with Toronto for Halladay, the only prospect that made it was, Diarno, the catcher, but didn't even make it in Toronto. He made it with the Mets.
Right.
The rest of them wiped out. The deal with Cliff Lee, all the prospects, that Philly sent to Seattle, none of them ever played themselves out. I mean, it's to me, they're all playing a game of fantasy baseball. They just are. They're just flipping prospects around, hoping they're going to get something out of it. And and it doesn't seem to be any true strategy for building a team. I remember last year, as the Padres were going, all in last year, much like the Diamondbacks are going all in this year. I talked to friends down there, in and out of the organization, and I said, if I were the general manager of a baseball team right now, and particularly the general manager of this baseball team, talking about the Padres, I would look at the Giants and I would do everything they do. Not from a business side to the baseball ops side, because they have done for years everything right. You look around, look at their organization. Their first baseman came up through the system, so did their second baseman, so did their shortstop, so did their third baseman, their catcher, their entire bullpen, and Kane, Lincecum, Bumgarner. Really? that's their system. And they don't produce these guys, Henson, the kid who came up last year to replace Peavy when he got hurt early in the season, he was like a 20th or 20th round draft pick. Duffy, the third baseman who replaced Sandoval and McGee, he was a low draft pick too. I mean, Panic was like low number. He was low first round, and he was drafted under the nose of the Mets, and he played at St. John's, like 2 miles away from Citi Field. I mean, and then from the business ops side with the ballpark, they've just created a great organization and a great baseball team out there. I mean, I think, we'll get on to the Yankees if you want to, but, I look at the Yankees very much in the same way, even though they're not, like going into the market and spending a lot of new money on top of old dead money at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just wrote a post, too, on that the other day about how, the Yankees have been able to kind of reboot sort of as they continue to hang on to some of these veterans and a lot of some of these other deals by picking up guys like, Didi Gregorius the last couple of years with Nathan Eovaldi, Dustin Ackley, Aaron Hicks, now Starlin Castro. I mean, how have they been able to do that? Are they just kind of acquiring guys through trades? Is pretty much the way it seems that they're getting younger. I mean, do they expect much to come out of their farm system at this point?
Well, no. I mean, if you look at it, they're trading guys like Adam Warren, who was traded for Castro. He's a guy that came out of the Yankee farm system, and he pitched, I think, very well for them in spot roles as a starter and reliever the last couple of years on a pitching staff that was really hurt. And, they trade their guys who have come up, and if they evaluate him and say, if this guy has been a decent player, we've used him at the major league level, but we think we can do better with something else. And then, you just pair up with an organization like the Cubs, for instance. They needed to get rid of Starlin Castro's contract so they could pay Zobrist.
Right.
And there's not that many teams that are going to take a $44 million contract, on a guy who was kind of a bad attitude guy for a while, but really came on during the second half of the season, had great numbers in September and October. And Gregorius is another one. I mean, I live in Arizona. The Diamondbacks totally dropped the ball on Gregorius. They never let him play a whole season. They never let him bat against, he's a left-handed hitter, never let him hit against left-handed pitching. And they sent him up and down to the minor leagues and wouldn't let him play shortstop, which is his natural position, and he's great. And I said, it told Girardi in spring training, and I wrote it, I said, look, as much as I love Jeter, and I do, when you see Gregorius play, you're going to know what you missed, because Jeter is one of the smartest players I've ever seen. To me, he was like Magic Johnson on a baseball field with periphery vision and a knowledge of the game that compensated for his lack of ability to move. And that's the way he always has been. But this guy can cover the field. And now that Girardi let him in, let him hit, and by, July, he was hitting, 260, 270 against left-handed hitters. He fell off the map in September, but it was probably because, just like a lot of their guys, I hadn't played a whole season before. I think the most he had played was 115 games. So, I mean, so he had all those things going against him, and replacing Jeter, I think he did a heck of a job. Headley's got back problems, and he's nowhere near the player he was. But I think they could trade Teixeira tomorrow to somebody, get more pitching, and they'd be fine, with the kid Bird at first base. I mean, you're looking really at, now you could have those three guys. You're going to have Headley for another year or two. You can have Judge coming up from the minors into the outfield in a year or two. Beltran goes off the books. They've got people coming. As I said in the piece, it reminds me a lot of, the early 90s when, the core four and Bernie came through the system and they just built around him for 15 years.
Right.
It remains to be seen whether all these young players are ever going to develop like that. That was like something that only happens a few times in history. But, I think the Yankees they've got $179 million out on 10 players already this year. How much more money are you going to add to that? You know, they should be good enough if they can stay healthy, which they haven't been able to stay healthy, to essentially be competitive and get into the playoffs with what they have.
Yeah, and a couple more things right before we let you go here. Again, we're talking to Barry M. Bloom. You can check him out at Boomski on Twitter, and writer for MLB.com, and that's where you can find that Yankees article. But you had mentioned how they never really gave Didi Gregorius a shot really in Arizona, and it was always because of guys like Chris Owings, it's when you look at all the guys they had there between like Jake Lamb, Nick Ahmed, even Brandon Drury. It's a single AA guy. What do you think they're going to be trying to do with this with the Diamondbacks team here? Obviously they had Greinke, but Greinke was talking more of it not necessarily being a win move now or win now move, but maybe something for where this team is headed. I mean, do you really see where they're going? Do you feel they're going to be as good? I mean, they still need to work on their relief. Relief was a big issue. They also need a left-handed bat somewhere in the offense. So I mean, they still got a lot of work there. Still have Aaron Hill on the books.
You would point up a lot of the flaws, and I'll tell you, I don't agree with Greinke. I think this is really a win now for them in the next couple of years. And where they are is, their managing general partner Ken Kendrick is 73, 74. Tony is going to be 71 this year. I mean, they're not going to be around that much longer. Derek Hall, the club president, is 46 years old and is, got over a few years ago a very, very difficult bout with prostate cancer. And if I'm a fan there, I go, great. It's like you try to make the team relevant again.
Right.
For Greinke, I just said before, he doesn't care, obviously. I mean, he's going to go in there, he's going to pitch his innings, he's going to be fine, but obviously he doesn't care whether the team is going to win or not, because if he did, he would have gone to a team that could win. That wasn't his top priority. His top priority was the innings, the money, and probably being a number one somewhere, which I think was a mistake because he's got the mentality of a number two. He was great behind Kershaw. He would have been great behind Bumgarner. I don't think he has the temperament or the personality to be number one pitcher. And we'll just see.
Yeah.
And so you point out all the flaws. I mean, I don't like their second base, third base, shortstop combination with all those young players. I thought they took the wrong guy in Ahmed over Gregorius.
Mm-hmm.
Owings, they moved from short to second. He's had a bad shoulder, and he hasn't been able to hit. He's a 220 hitter in the major league. So is Ahmed. Lamb was a 150 hitter the entire month of September, and he was hurt too. But their catching is negligible. They've got good outfield. Yosmani Tomas is just he's like Puig. It's like where do they come up with these guys? And he has the jury is out really on his contract, on what he's going to do for the rest of the year. And, behind Miller, they've got Corbin back from TJ surgery, and their number 4 and 5 spots are wide open. And as you said, they don't have, Ziegler's a great guy, and he's a good closer. I'd rather have him as an 8th inning guy. He doesn't care either way. They don't have a lights out closer. They don't have decent middle inning relief. And they play better at home than they do on the road. They're a completely different team. I mean, so the question becomes, they made up 15 games in the loss column last year, and lost 83 games as opposed to 98 the year before. So there's Greinke and Miller, and the maturity of some of these guys. Does it get them 11 more wins to put them in a position to make the playoffs? Because 11 more wins wouldn't have won, even if they won 90 games this year. They wouldn't have won in the West. The Dodgers won with 92, and wouldn't even got them a wild card because the Cubs won with the second wild card with 97. So I mean, is Greinke going to make up 14 or 15 wins? I just don't see it. You know, you're talking about 18 wins if you're going for what the Cubs had. If those teams in the Central play the way they did again. So I mean, but I think if you're a fan or a writer, it's a great story either way. You know, it's going to be a fun season, a fun couple of seasons in Arizona because of all of this.
You got it. And I had a lot of fun right here, Barry. I'm telling you. Thank you so much again. At Boomski on Twitter, and you can check them out at MLB.com. You have your Major League Baseball blog there, Boomski on Baseball. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the grandkid, and I hope you have a fantastic 2016.
Thank you. Thanks very much, and thanks for having me on. Happy holiday to all you guys, too.
Yeah, you got it. There he is. Barry Bloom, fantastic guy. I mean, what great insight he gave us. And when we get back here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show, we're going to talk to our guy, Jim Sarantias, the Fantasy Greek. So call in 585-633-7487 and hashtag your questions, Ask TFG, and we'll get to all that when we come back here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
next to mine. You're so fine, baby, you're too fine. You're all mine tonight. after he goes to bed. Remember what we said. We gonna do this right, right. This is how it's always supposed to be. I need you endlessly. We gonna go all night. Tumble to the ground underneath the stars, underneath the stars. Yeah, come out of the house. Yeah, come out of the house.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Yeah, I kind of want to let that one play out a little bit, but welcome back to the Johnnie Bobbo Show. We're in the Christmas spirit because this is our last show. We will not be talking to you next Thursday because that is Christmas Eve. The following Thursday is New Year's Eve. And a couple Thursdays ago, we had Thanksgiving. So we lost 3 shows here towards the end of the year. But we're back. The Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio, on your Spreaker app. And we bring in our guy, as we do every week at 10 o'clock, except when we're getting screwed over by a holiday. Jim Sarantius, the Fantasy Greek of thefantasygreek.com. How are you tonight, Jim?
Johnny, I am thrilled to be on live with you guys, and I can't believe it's the end of the year. It's our last show of the football season. I mean, it's rapidly coming to an end, my man.
Oh, it's sad. And now, are you? Is there any point to you doing your Wednesday spot now for next week, or are people still battling?
If you talk to Keith, he says there's a point. I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I guess there is. No, there's going to be people out there. They're going to be championships and third and fourth place games. I mean, there's going to be people out there interested. So I guess there is a point. There's just not going to be as many as there was, let's say, a month ago.
Yeah, it's not going to be the dire need that people need this week. Like, for instance, we're just going to kick it right off the bat here when it comes down to Twitter. Hashtag AskTFG. Get in your question. We got a guy, he's asking, can you trust Matt Ryan this week, and is Tim Hightower the real deal?
Oh, this cat from Twitter. Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, we have Matt Ryan as a sit-em. I believe that you cannot trust Matt Ryan. I've detailed it in our sit-ems, but here, if you look at his last 4, 5, 6 games, I mean, the guy has had one multi-TD touchdown game, and every other game 1 TD or 0 being last week. And the Jaguars have a defense that has been both hot and cold. And I just, this is a team that's, I think the Jaguars are just one of these teams. If I were any team in the NFL trying to make the playoffs or not, I would not want to play the Jaguars because you don't know what you're going to get. Their offense is really explosive. Their defense can be good, I guess, when it wants to be. And Matt Ryan just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I would rather play Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning this week than I ever would want to play Matt Ryan. And if Matt Ryan got you to the fantasy football playoffs, like the winning bracket, please contact me because I really want to know what the rest of your team was made of because I wouldn't believe that.
I think I'm still in it. I hope that wasn't directed straight at me because it is my guy.
Matt Ryan?
I got Matty Ice and I think I have like 6 running backs and none of them are worth anything, but somehow I've been able to battle it out here. And is that going to work? Is Jameis Winston going to be able to battle it out? I don't know what he did tonight, but what's to get it go? Go ahead.
He's not doing well. The Buccaneers are losing 31-16. Winston's got 1 TD, I believe, to his name. They've got 7.5 minutes here. Could he toss another TD? Sure, but he would not have been a recommended start against a Rams team that actually its defense reared its ugly head last week and did what it was supposed to do, which is shut down their opponent. Their offense has actually been pretty amazing this week. Tavon Austin has been blowing it up tonight. I would not have recommended him because he's been boomer bust is not even the right description. He's been more bust than boom. And you're in the fantasy football playoffs again, assuming you have a winning team. You didn't get there because of Tavon Austin. You didn't get there because of Jameis Winston being your starter. More than likely, these guys were sort of plug and plays at some point, and you lucked out. So, for me, Jameis Winston is not the guy that's going to take you to a fantasy football championship.
Yeah, okay. And now how about when it comes down to maybe some waiver wire pickups here? If you're unfortunate as I was in my other league, I had my guy, Andy Dalton, my waiver wire pickup quarterback went down. Now you got a guy like A.J. McCarron stepping in with the Bengals at the 49ers without Tyler Eifert, it sounds like, or Matthew Stafford of the Lions at the Saints. Which route are you going there, A.J. McCarron or Matthew Stafford?
Oh, you got to go Matt Stafford. It doesn't matter what the Saints did last week. The reality is they have had, for pretty much the entire season, one of the worst pass defenses in the league, giving up, let's say, 275, 280, 290 yards per game. The most pass TDs allowed in the league at 36 or 37 now. So you have to start Matt Stafford in that situation in what appears to be is going to be the highest scoring game of the week. So I would start him with confidence.
Okay, and now how about another quarterback here? Teddy Bridgewater of the Vikings at the Bears, and he had a season-high 335 yards and a touchdown in Week 14. But going into the week, this week's matchup against the Bears, it seems more likely for the game manager either to throw another 300-yard passing game, or is it more likely to have another Week 8 repeat of 187 yards against the Bears?
I would expect Teddy Bridgewater to struggle. The Bears' pass defense, from my perspective, has only gotten better. And, it's the second time that they're playing against each other. I just can't see things getting worse. He's just not the guy that you're going to depend on this week in the fantasy football playoffs. Bench him.
You got it. All right. How about a guy like Blake Bortles of the Jaguars against the Falcons at home, or Drew Brees of the Saints at home against the Lions?
Man, that is a tough call, but I'll tell you, I'm sticking with Blake Bortles. Here's a guy that has just been absolutely outstanding, especially in the stretch run this season. He has not just multiple TDs. He's capable of throwing to 3 to 5 touchdowns against any opponent, and now they're taking on a Falcons pass defense that last week imploded. Here, I finally was able to pull up his numbers. In the past 4 weeks, he's had no less than 242 yards passing, maxed out at 322 yards passing. Past 2 games, 8 TDs. Add in the next one, that's 10 TDs. He had a tough matchup against the Titans. We'll give him that. But Blake Bortles is the guy to start. He's just surrounded by weapons, and you start him with confidence ahead of Drew Brees this week.
Okay, and
but
now
you can start Drew Brees too. Don't get me wrong, you can start Drew Brees too, but I would rather go with Bortles right now.
Yeah, and now how about a situation where you got Kirk Cousins of the Redskins at home against the Bills, where he's top 300 passing yards in 3 of his last 5 games. Joins Jameis Winston is one of the quarterbacks with a touchdown in every game this season. What type of line does that translate into Week 15 against the Bills, who have given up 6 passing touchdowns in their last 3 games?
Kirk Cousins is a player that, unless he's in the easiest of matchups, from my perspective, it's tough for him to have. You can't expect him to necessarily have a good game. When he went up against the Saints, that was the game where you go, oh, you start Kirk Cousins with confidence this week. And even then, I think people were nervous because, he only had 1 or 2 really good games before that. I suppose you could. I think I've seen him somewhere ranked a little bit higher than I expected, but I can think of many quarterbacks to start ahead of him. I would not want to take that risk against the Bills, but I do like Tyrod Taylor, and I would certainly start Tyrod Taylor ahead of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, absolutely. And now what about the Houston Texans running back situation? If you have anybody on the Texans at the Colts, it seems like they had problems filling the running back slot since, Arian Foster went down. Alfred Blue, he's been relegated to special teams duties. And then the carries, that have been split in the backfield between Chris Polk and Jonathan Grimes. Just to make one thing clear, should anybody be starting any of those aforementioned running backs this week?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Alfred Blue has, I like Alfred Blue, but he's never been really given the opportunity. Jonathan Grimes has eaten into the production. Chris Polk has eaten into the production. Which one of those guys is going to be the guy that's going to lead the way this weekend? Your guess is as good as mine. I'm staying away from all of them. In fact, I'm staying away from all Texans this weekend with the exception of DeAndre Hopkins, who last time out with TJ Yates under center posted a roughly 150 yards receiving.
All right, and here's a guy that's on the fantasygreek.com when it comes down to running backs. Somebody start 'em, sit 'ems. We're looking at a guy like Chris Ivory of the Jets at the Cowboys, and it was difficult for the Titans to control him in Week 14, 101 yards on 22 carries. And now with the Jets expected to feature the run, is it going to be another favorable matchup here for Ivory going up against the Cowboys? And what are the odds he puts up back-to-back 100-yard games?
Oh, I think they're good. I think they're real good. We saw what Eddie Lacy did to him last week. To me, they're sort of similar runners. They run hard. They run with their nose down. They run north and south. So I happen to like him. I think he's a great play against the Cowboys' rush defense that in 2 of the last 3 games has given up over 129 yards rushing. You can ask for a better situation. Even Bilal Powell, in my mind, is a good flex play in deeper leagues of 14 to 16 team leagues.
Okay. And now how about this matchup? We got a guy that's on your starts list, Jeremy Hill of the Bengals at the 49ers, or are you going to pick a guy like Matt Forte of the Bears at the Vikings in a PPR league? That's from Jimmy.
Well, I think, first of all, you start Matt Forte. I'm pretty sure I'd have to look at my rankings that I do have Matt ranked ahead of him. I'd be shocked if I did not. And I do have him ranked ahead. Matt Forte is one of these running backs that, he'll put some combination of yardage up on the board, roughly around 100 yards, all-purpose, and a score. And there's nothing about the Vikings that make me view Matt Forte any different, and you keep him started. Jeremy Hill is a guy that in good matchups he can thrive, and he's going up against the number one defense for most fantasy points allowed to the running back position. You can start him with confidence. The Bengals have been going to him quite heavily in the last few weeks, and one of the things that's going to help him is the fact that it is A.J. McCarron under center. So if you're the Bengals and you have knowledge, and they'll have knowledge of the fact that the 49ers are really weak at rush defense, you're going to want to take some of the pressure off this young quarterback and give it to a couple of guys, Gio Bernard included, that can run the football and do some damage. So in my mind, Jeremy Hill is a must-start. He's a borderline top 10, and I just have Matt Forte 1 or 2 spots ahead of him, so it's really close.
Okay, and now where's James White of the Patriots going up against the Titans stand on that list? He hasn't gotten many touches as he or his fantasy owners would have liked to see over the last 4 games, but it seems like White he's been able to reach the end zone in 3 of the last 4 games. And now, how does White's 14 receptions out of the backfield in the last 2 games kind of add to his fantasy value?
For me, the running back to have for the Patriots is Brandon Bolden. When Garrett Blount went down to injury, he got 16 rushes to 1 of James White's. Certainly, White has gotten some work out of the backfield, but it's nothing really to brag about. I think maybe he had one really good game and he switched off with Brandon Bolden in that regard when LeGarrette Blount was healthy. If you have James White, if you're even considering playing him, it is as a flex, and you are in a 14 or 16 team league, in 10 or 12 team leagues or less, boy, there's way too many other options to consider ahead of him. I would avoid him.
Okay, and now this one actually involves Brandon Bolden, and it kind of, I thought maybe at an initial glance it seemed kind of like a silly question here, but John from Burbank is asking Brandon Bolden of the Patriots against the Titans, or are you picking Odell Beckham Jr. of the Giants at the Panthers, knowing that, I guess with Odell Beckham Jr. going up against Josh Norman, is there a big risk there? I mean, seeing the way Norman was able to shut down Julio Jones, where are you going on that, Bolden or Beckham Jr.?
My choices are who, Anquan Bolden or Odell Beckham Jr.?
It's Brandon Bolden or Odell Beckham Jr.
Wow, that's a tough call. I'll tell you, that is a really tough call because I view, and this is for a flex play?
Flex, correct.
Oh, this must be a 6, 8, or 10 team league. I mean, there's no way you've got this choice in your 10 or 12. At least I would think so, because to me, Brandon Bolden is an RB2. I would consider him as a flex play, but I would have Odell Beckham Jr. in as one of my top 2 wide receivers. I understand that this is a terribly tough matchup. He has shut down some very good wide receivers, but I really do believe that Odell Beckham Jr. is the best wide receiver in the league, and I believe that he is matchup proof, that there is no cornerback that can shut this guy down, whether it be Darrelle Revis, name the cornerback. Odell Beckham Jr. is the better player. And does that mean he'll go off? No. What it means is he has a chance to. He has a chance to show up and just get you 50 yards, but I don't believe that. I think he can do 80 to 100 and get a score this weekend.
See. All right, and here's another flex play. Latavius Murray of the Raiders going up at home against the Packers, or Mike Evans of the Buccaneers at the Rams, and I guess we kind of know where that's sitting right now with that game already being played.
Well, I don't know what Evans' stats are, but it was Evans, and what was the other choice?
Latavius Murray.
For a flex?
Yes.
That's just so weird. I probably would have went with the receiver because they tend to have higher upsides when you actually look at numbers. RB2s tend to get you maybe around 10 fantasy points or less. A wide receiver like Mike Evans in a very special situation this week, not having Vincent Jackson in there, he's a guy that's going to be targeted in his offense 15 plus times. So he's a candidate for 100 to 150 yards receiving plus a score. I would have recommended Mike Evans over Latavius Murray in that instance.
Yeah. And in some leagues right now, it's looking like he already has 22.3 points for Mike Evans. So obviously, pretty good night for him. Moving on to 2 wide receivers here. A guy like Jeremy Maclin, he's been on fire. He's averaging 8 receptions, 107.67 yards a game, and a touchdown over his last 3. Now, it's a pretty good matchup for himself against the Ravens secondary. Pretty suspect, having allowed 27 passing touchdowns this season. Any chance Maclin cools down against the Ravens?
No, I mean, he should blow it up. If you on paper, the Ravens shut down tight ends, so it's a tough matchup for Travis Kelce. They're a pretty good rush defense, so the only way in my mind that Kendrick West is a good play this week is if Spencer Ware is inactive, and all those things point to Jeremy Maclin just blowing it up against a Ravens team. I forget what their numbers are off the top of my head, but I know they give up top 5 fantasy points allowed, which means that they allow over 240 yards passing per game, likely more around 275, 280, as well as they probably allow more than or right around 26 TDs on the season, so that's a solid 2. Jeremy Maclin is in line for a huge game this weekend. He's a must start. He's not a wide receiver 1, but he's definitely a wide receiver 2.
Yeah, and now how about Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks versus the Browns. I mean, if you think can almost start anybody against the Browns, but Lockett scored multiple touchdowns in 2 of his last 4 games, and thanks to the rookie, he's had 6 receptions, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns just last week alone. Do you expect Lockett's breakaway speed and kind of big playability to be on full display Week 15 against the Browns secondary? I mean, to this point, they've allowed 57 plays of 20-plus yards this season.
Yeah, I would. They're allowing 253 pass yards per game, a solid 2 pass TDs per game. We saw what happened last week against the well, first of all, you have Russell Wilson, who's on a roll. So that actually counts for something. And then you've got a Browns defense that is actually struggling, and especially in their pass defense. So in my mind, you've got Doug Baldwin, who this week, for the first time in his career, is a wide receiver 1. He is a must-start. You get him in your lineup any way possible. And then Tyler Lockett, to me, is a very high wide receiver 3. I couldn't imagine a situation where you would bench him unless somehow you had, let's say, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Marshall, and Odell Beckham Jr. on your team. Otherwise, start Tyler Lockett.
Sure. And kind of keeping it with Seattle here, we're going to Lori in Chicago. She's asking Martavius Bryant of the Steelers going up against the Broncos at home, or Doug Baldwin of the Seattle Seahawks at the Browns.
Oh, Doug Baldwin. Like I said, he's a wide receiver 1 this week. You have to start him. He has just been off the hook. I think, what does he have? 5 TDs in the past 2 games.
Right.
Roughly 180 yards receiving. He is clearly Russell Wilson's favorite receiver, and with a bunch of question marks as to what the Seahawks are going to do at running back, it would seem to me that their offense will be built around passing the football this week.
All right, we got 2 more here for you. Randall Cobb of the Packers at the Raiders, or Larry Fitzgerald of the Cardinals at the Eagles.
Wow, that's a tough call, or a closer call. Let me see here. Where do I have these guys ranked?
And that's kind of been one of the interesting things, too, is kind of watching the way the Packers have kind of struggled and knowing that even Cobb's been a part of that. I would hope, you know what I mean, going up against the Raiders, they'd be able to change that around a little bit. But what are you thinking?
Well, here, I've got Randall Cobb ranked just ahead of Larry Fitzgerald by 4 spots. I like Larry Fitzgerald this week. I think he is a stardom. In fact, I think all the Cardinals wide receivers are stardoms this week, with the exception of J.J. Nelson, who is at best a stardom in a very deep league where 14 or 16 teams as a flex only. Otherwise, you can avoid him in standard 8, 10, and 12-team leagues. But for Randall Cobb, the reason why Randall Cobb is ahead is, for one, he is their playmaker. In his past weekend with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, they actually made plays for him. They wanted to get Randall Cobb involved in their offense, and I think they're going to keep doing that. The Raiders have a pretty good pass defense, but they're still giving up over 240 roughly yards and 1 to 2 pass TDs per game, and I anticipate one of those to go to Randall Cobb, and which is why I like him just ahead of Larry Fitzgerald, who's at whatever he's going to eat is going to be at a table where both Michael Floyd and John Brown are sitting at.
Yeah. All right. Well, I lied to you. We got 2 more. Well, last one's quicker. All right. Well, so we got Ted Ginn Jr. of the Panthers at the Giants. Ought to be targeted downfield quite a bit, just knowing that it's one of the worst passing defenses in the league. But, I mean, how much is on the line, or I should say with as much as on the line in Week 15 between the 14-0 record here, a playoff spot in the NFC least? I mean, is there any stopping, Ginn or Newton or Chico's Panthers at this point?
You're still calling him Chico, aren't you?
I'm for my guys over at 670. We have them on the show all the time. I can't let that one go.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think the question is Ted Ginn startable this week, and the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Last week was actually an eye-opener, him getting 2 receptions for 120 yards and 2 TDs for a number of reasons. But the big one is that he generally does not play well in the tougher matchups. However, in easier matchups, just like this one, Ted Ginn, he thrives. I mean, for whatever reason, if you look at their schedule and go, there was an easy defense, or at that particular time, boom, you look at the box score, Ted Ginn had a good game. That's what we expect this week against Giants team, giving up the most passing yards in the league at 314 yards per game, and the 14th most pass TDs, 22 in the league, 15th most fantasy points to the position. I like Ted Ginn. This is an opportunity for him to have another big game. Will it be like last week's? No. But, I mean, what you're looking for is about 80 to 100 yards in a score. View him as a wide receiver 3 because there's always risk associated with them. Plenty of other guys you can play ahead of him, but he's still a stardom. He's not a guy where in a 10 to 12 team league you're viewing him and saying, oh, no, he's sitting on my bench. I've got somebody else to play. This week you can start him if one of your receivers had a tough matchup.
You got it. All right. Jim Sanardzija's Fantasy Greek. Last thing here. Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers at against the Broncos at home. I mean, just let alone going up against the pass defense and the injury thing. I mean, is there any reason for anybody to even try starting Ben, or should you try to find some other kind of backup there?
Well, here, he is definitely startable. He's a QB1 this week, but he's a low-end QB1 in 10 or 12 team leagues, and I suppose in 14 or 16 as well. He would be considered on the low end because there's other quarterbacks that have, I think, are in better situations than him. That if they happen to be your backup, you can play him. And we've mentioned all three tonight: Tyrod Taylor, Matt Stafford, Drew Brees. Those are guys you can play ahead of him. There might be one or two more. I'm going to sit down and look at this again because I really took a hard look at what his situation is, and I don't think it's as bad as people want to make it out to be. The elite quarterbacks in the league have had some success against the Broncos to the tune of 240 yards and 2 TDs, roughly around there per outing. But when you're a guy like, let's say Joe Flacco, you're not going to do well against them. If you're, even Jay Cutler put up a bunch of great yards, but I'm not so sure that he had the great TDs. Let me see, I have my notes still here. Hang on, Johnny. This is good stuff. You get to...
I mean, and that's the reason, why we check out the fantasygreek.com is, rather than just saying, all right, yeah, sit them, start them, bench them, whatever you're going to do, at least there's a reasoning behind it. So hopefully, you listen enough, you're able to at least learn a little bit of something there.
Sure. So here, the quarterbacks that just have struggled against the Broncos have been Joe Flacco, Alex Smith. You could throw Matt Stafford in there, but he was successful in the sense that he threw 280 yards. Teddy Bridgewater, 269 yards, but 1 TD. Derek Carr, 249 yards, but 1 TD. McCown for the Browns, he actually had a decent enough game. He threw a couple picks. That was not good, but 213 yards, 2 TDs. Andrew Luck, 252 and 2 TDs. Tom Brady, 280 and 3 TDs. Derek Carr, 135 yards, but 2 TDs. So you can see that there's a certain kind of quarterback that can have some success. And then there's all these others. Again, Alex Smith did not do very well. Jake Cutler didn't do well. He threw 265, which was great, but 0 TDs. And I would equate Ben Roethlisberger more with the quarterbacks that had some success against the Broncos than the other guys. And because of that, he's still on the radar. He's still a low QB1. He's a guy that can put up 240 and 2, which is what you really want. That's sort of the middle of the road. Those are the guys that are worthwhile playing. And anybody that does better, they'll be in the top 10. So as I mentioned to start, there's a few quarterbacks we have ahead of him that if one of them's your backup, go ahead and start them ahead of Roethlisberger. But if these guys aren't your backup, you start Big Ben.
You got it. All right. So anybody, if you need any help, check out the Fantasy Greek on Twitter at the Fantasy Greek. Check out the fantasygreek.com. And last thing here with the Skybox subscription, I know you set fantasy rosters that people send them in. Say they got something like this now, where obviously the season's coming to an end. When it comes down to thinking about keepers for next season, is that something you do with the Skybox subscription there?
I mean, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions. There's probably a lot of time to answer it because, generally I get the keeper questions right around July, August.
Okay.
People usually have to declare to their commissioners, "Hi, Keith," who it is that they're keeping from the previous season. Most of those decisions aren't made immediately. But if you really, want to blow a nut and talk about it now, that's fine.
You got it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jim. And like I said, everybody check out the fantasygreek.com and always posting updates before the games here through your Twitter account and on the website. So we appreciate all your time this year. And hopefully we'll be talking to you next year here, huh?
Absolutely, Johnny. Happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Bobbo, Keith, and to the entire Johnnie Bobbo Show.
You got it. Thank you so much. That's our guy, Jim Sarantias. Check him out. Good stuff. And, he'll be coming out with that fantasy guy later on when it comes to, 2016 here. We're already looking ahead. So when we come back here, we're going to talk to our guy, Cody Van Cura, emo prince of the Midwest, on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night SportsRadio.com.
Don't believe it anymore. You can never turn me on. There's no more love. There's no more tears. No feelings like before. And now my heart is made of stone. And you'll never turn me on into broken-hearted lying on the floor. And now your soul is torn in two. You are lost, you are mad, feeling sad. You crazy broken dreams are never coming back. Now you see how it feels when you're down on your knees and your soul is turning two. Now you know how it feels when you're down on your knees and your heart is bleeding. Now so strong. Don't believe it anymore. You can never turn me on. There's no more lies. There's no more pain. No suffering like before. So you've got the sleepless nights, and tears are clouding up your eyes, and your broken heart and lying on the floor. And now your soul is torn in two. You are lost, you are mad, feeling sad. Your crazy broken dreams are never coming back. And now you see how it feels when you're down on your knees and your soul is turning two. And now you know how it feels when you're down on your knees and your heart is bleeding. Now so strong. And now your soul is torn in two. You are lost, you are mad, feeling sad. Your crazy broken dreams are never coming back. Now you see how it feels when you're down on your knees and your soul is turning two. Now you know how it feels when you're down on your knees and your heart is bleeding. Now it's so strong.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Let's
Do you believe in Santa Claus? Do you believe in Santa Claus? You better watch out, you better not
It's coming to town, but you know who's coming to your radio? The Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app. Download us on iTunes. You want to catch a little bit of something from Barry M. Bloom. We talked to him. We talked to Homer Bush. Some solid baseball conversation right there. And we fixed all your fantasy teams, answered all your damn questions with the Fantasy Greek, Jim Sarantias from thefantasygreek.com. But what we do now, at this time, every week, we bring in our guy, Cody Van Cura of Cody's Q, which might be getting a reboot here for the new year. Is this correct, Cody?
Sure is. We're done with this name, and we're moving on to bigger things.
Moving on from the... Yeah, we need to come up with some spicy things that we can involve in your segment here. We talked about actually a few different things. Some rapid fire, some rapid lines.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the trumpets for my introduction for the emo fans.
I got an idea. Cody's Kama Sutra.
Ooh, I think there's one whole.
We give advice.
I don't know, dude. I'm not that flexible.
That's what happens when you're a tubby guy. I mean, like, it sucks, dude. I got back to being like fat boy mode a little bit. I'm trying to like watch everything, and it's a holiday, so everyone's eating a bunch of crap. So yeah, I'm trying to trim it down. But yeah, no, it's tough being flexible, dude.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
I don't blame you too much, but let me ask you this here, real quick. I mean, what were just maybe one of the top two albums you can possibly give us of the 2015 year that you have to have in your in your catalog?
Could I throw something else at you to answer kind of a question with something different?
What?
How about we've already talked about the albums of 2015. I just want to talk about albums of 2016. What I'm excited for.
What would those be, sir?
All right, man. So there's a couple weird ones on here. Gwen Stefani's coming out with a new album, and after seeing her performance at Rice, I'm super excited for that. I heard her go back to just really rap pop. I think will be really a change of pace. So I'm excited for that.
Well, she does have a new single out already, and the album was supposed to come out at the end of this year, but it got pushed back a little bit. But I gotta give her credit for just being an old bag, and she's still looking hot as hell, and puts on one hell of a performance.
You can't be an old bag if she's hot as hell.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, you can be an old bag. You can be older and still be damn sexy, right?
Yeah, I think she's gonna surpass Madonna for being the really beautiful old bitch.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Madonna, I don't know if you can put the two of them in the same category, man. Madonna, that is, I don't know what she is. That certainly is something, that Madonna thing. But I mean, you think about it, Gwen Stefani, she's 46, man. She's 46 and looks like that and still sounds like that. That takes work to be that good still, don't you think?
It takes a lot of jobs.
Yeah, I think she's doing some Kama Sutra to be that well in shape.
She might be, but she does have a lot of jobs, Bob. But that's like us, man. We work a ton. Is that why we look so young and look so good?
I'm not really looking young, but I think she has a lot of the jobs, a lot of the B jobs, H jobs, nose jobs.
See,
keep her.
I don't know if she's had any work done. I'll give her that to the point where I don't think she's actually.
Are you kidding? Everybody in Hollywood or music has had something done. Something in hand.
She's Gwen Stefani. She's all natural. So
we were talking about Madonna.
Yeah, we were. What are we talking about?
Album
jobs. We were talking about jobs.
Oh yeah, no, we're off jobs, dude. We're totally off jobs. Cody, what's weirdo album 2016 that you got to hear?
The new Kanye. I'm super excited for it too. After how good Jesus was, every album he does just keeps getting better.
Really, I gave him, after a while. I gave him credit because he was funny and like he actually had some decent beats, quote unquote. Let me get some air quotes on that one. Yeah, no. His songs always had a really good sound to him, but he's such a douche hole. You know what I mean?
It's just who he is, and he's like a wrestler. It's his gimmick. If he wasn't so arrogant, he wouldn't be Kanye.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, that's fine. I'll take your word for it. Maybe I'll give it a spin. But before we do any of that stuff, we're going to give a spin to our band, Hazel and the Grimms. This is one of my dear friends, Kenny Huntington. He's going through some stuff and being awesome, and I felt it'd be great just knowing that brand new year for a lot of people. For us, I know my 2015. It was pretty good. I picked up this gig and doing some other things, but overall it was kind of like a little kind of on the bummer side a little bit. You know what I mean? So everyone's looking to finish off here on a high note, especially our guy Kenny Keeler, Jackie's there, and even James Wood on the bass there. So what are we going to hear here, Keith? This is Hazel and the Grimms, and which song is this?
Appalachian Love Song.
Ooh, sounds Led Zeppelin-y.
A little bit.
A little bit. Why don't you give it a spin?
Here we go.
Boom.
But the darkness we must follow tonight.
Damn. That is Jacqueline Hazel Alward. That's we got her. We got Keeler Grimm, Ken Huntington, James Witt on the base doing stuff with actually Hazel and the Grimms. They actually were founded in 2012. Okay, and I don't know, man. That's got to be a band that's somewhere up your alley, Bob. I would think. No.
Yeah, the background vocals were very good. Like the beat, lyrics seemed good. I give it 2 thumbs up.
See, look at that. We're doing so. That's the way to end Cody's Q. I think that's a funeral that Cody's Q would have wanted.
You know, I hope the first segment of the next year could start out with 2 thumbs up from Bob as well.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. And I think we will. Should we tell people what the name is right now of Cody's Q when we're moving?
Yeah. Do you want to do the big reveal, or do you want to save it?
I think. What do you think it is, Bob? What do you think the name is? You got any ones?
I still think it's Cody's Kama Sutra.
Yeah. No, we are going to change it to Cody writes a blog because he has feelings and people need to know things. And it's one of the greatest blog names ever, I think. Celebratory 40s. I think that's pretty good. I think we can do stuff with that.
I can drink a 40 while we're listening to Cody yammer.
See? Look at that. That's a segment right there.
I hope on New Year's we could all have a group chat together and all open up the celebratory 40.
Yeah, I'll text you with all that.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cody, man. We honestly gotta do. We appreciate the hell out of you, and thank you so much for coming on this whole year, dude. You put it a lot.
All
of time.
right, you guys have a good night.
You got it. All right, there he is, Cody Van Cura, and we doing a commercial thing here, Keith Areno.
You're looking at about 10 minutes left. So.
Oh yeah. All right. Cool. Cut the break. We'll see you in a bit. We're listening to the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app, and download us on the iTunes.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Next day, you took it away, and that's something that we wouldn't do here at the Johnnie Bobbo Show. If you handed us your heart, we wouldn't take it away. We'd hang on to it. So you're listening to Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio, on your Spreaker app. And on that note, are you asking for anyone's heart this Christmas, Bob Sullivan, or are you asking for the new Tickle Me Elmo? It sounds like 15 at this point, I think.
I have a barista at a local coffee shop. I'm
really
trying to get her heart.
That is quite interesting. Is this like? See, I work for an awesome coffee shop that's like straight up out of Seattle. One of those deals where it's just way out of time, just like misplaced somewhere. You know what I mean? Where you walk in there like, is this the 90s or like what is this? Why is this place here? And absolutely awesome vibe. Or is it like a Dunkin' Donuts?
It's kind of cool. There's like this music conservatory in Omaha, and it's for like people to go and make music. Surprisingly, but they have like a coffee shop in there for if it's between performances or whatever. If they have kids there, or if it's adults taking a class, they go and get coffee afterwards or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this kind of hole in the wall type of place. So that's what it is. I'm not a music person, but I check out the coffee shop.
And what's the name of the coffee shop? Is it just like inside like this place, or is it like a separate part of the building?
It's inside the conservatory, but it's called the Accelerento Coffee House.
Okay.
And you know, this is the thing. Okay, I don't drink coffee, but what I've been doing, so I look a little bit more adult to the barista.
God.
And when we've hung out at the coffee shop, I order a cappuccino and pretend to drink it, but I don't actually drink it.
But what do you do with it?
Well, I wind up bringing it home and giving it to my roommate, or I just pour it out.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, that's good. At least you're not getting it like, see, if you're going to get a cappuccino, like that, this is the trick here. You might be giving yourself away here, Bob. Usually people that get the cappuccinos, they get them in the cappuccino mug, like one of those things that you would imagine from like Friends or something like that. You know what I mean? And
I don't want to imagine anything from Friends, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, but no, I get you on that, man. You know, we have people like that too that come through. I mean, I'm telling you, when you work at a coffee shop, you run across some of the strangest people ever in the world. I'm pretty sure about that, and I love it. It's fun. That's Ashbury Coffee House in Willow Springs there on Archer Avenue, and they do a great job putting me up quite a bit of the time here. At least when it comes down to doing the radio show, always give me a spot to do my show. Open up so many different doors, you know what I mean, and different kind of avenues to do things. That's one of the cool things about having a place like that. You know, I don't know if this is how it goes with the coffee shop out by you, the Accelerentia or Accelerencio.
It's like a play on some kind of music.
Yeah.
The music thing. You know, the interesting thing with coffee places is I guess Dunkin' Donuts is a little different, but the people that go into, well, Dunkin' Donuts is a donut place, but you know, like your Starbucks, your normal run-of-the-mill coffee shops. The funny thing is the people are weird as shit.
Oh yeah,
and that's never going to change. Not the workers, but the people that go in there, and that's something that's never going to change. It's you know, like some people that go to the library. I mean, it's kind of like the homeless people that hang out at the library. I mean, that's never going to change. You know, these people who go into the coffee shop, they're all the same. They have their laptops open. They're just hogging up all the Wi-Fi. And,
You're describing me right now.
Well, I mean, those are the same. The people who go to a coffee shop are never going to change. They're never going to be different people. Like, you're never going to see, it's white people who think they're better than everybody else, and they're really not.
See, I don't know. For like the coffee shop that I'm talking about, the Ashbury, it's super cool and unique to the sense where they're still one of the few places that still hold an open mic. Every damn Wednesday, open mic, that's what it is. Every Thursday, they do improv comedy, which is really cool. And then on the weekends, they do comedy shows or like, bands will play there, whatever. So that's why a lot of the bands that we get from the Ashbury or from people we met from the Ashbury, or somehow someone's connected some way or another. But it's one of those few places where you can be a weirdo and be there and go there and be cool. And no one's going to make fun of you. No one's going to, do anything. You're actually probably going to make friends. You know what I mean? It's one of those places. But there's, with me working remotely now, with my day job, I spend a lot of time at the library. I spend a lot of time at the coffee shop. It's just, you do see those weird people. And they're all kinds of weird people. You know what I mean? They're either, like you said, there's the too good for everybody white privileged people, right? And then there's the, just eccentric little persons. I'm just going here to read a book. Nobody bother me. Just drink their coffee, read their book. They're there for, half an hour, then they're gone. You know what I mean?
I feel like the douche to cool, or not the douche to
cool ratio.
Chill, normal person at a coffee shop is like 9-1.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the highest ratio you can get in a place, other than maybe, I guess in a high school, but like in the grown-up world, the douche to chill ratio is 9-1, in my opinion. I don't think you get any higher in any other setting. But yeah, I like, coffee houses are what they are. Charge, charge a wagon for how much for the
coffee house industry, Bob.
What?
So go ahead, smash, badmouth the coffee house industry.
Yeah, mind you, I spend a good chunk of change there just trying to hit on a chick. So
I think Keith is telling us that it's time to say goodbye for the last time in 2015. Is that what's happening to us, Keith?
You got it, dude.
Oh, man, you're making me sad. Well, what I got to do, that was fantastic. We need to thank, honestly, this has been a fantastic 2015, especially at least when it comes down to this show specifically. Met a lot of great people. Big props out to Edward Naines, my cousin, set me up with this the radio gear here. So that's why I don't sound like a fool, unless the words are coming out of my mouth. Otherwise, they sound really crisp. So that's a good thing. But, big thanks to him. Big thanks to our guest on the show tonight. We had Barry M. Bloom at Boomski on Twitter of MLB.com. Also Homer Bush at BushHomer on the Twitter bot. Also the author of Hitting Low in the Zone. You got to check that out. I'm telling you, really good read. Explains a lot about the game, and someone that explains a lot about the game is our guy Jim Sarantias. Joined us every damn Thursday this entire year. Thank you very much to the Fantasy Greek. Check him out at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter. Keep up with him. He'll be able to take care of your fantasy keepers for next year. Check him out. Get a Skybox subscription. Thank you to Cody Vancura. We're going to reboot your segment this year, but we really appreciate it, man. You coming on. Same thing with Keith Grebe, Bob Sullivan, everybody that called, everybody that texted, and especially to our guys, Hazel and the Grims. Fantastic job with the song there, and especially thinking about the rest of the year here. Thank you very much to all of our guys over at 670 The Score. They joined us all year long, between Mark Brody, Nick Shepkowski, Matt Spiegel, Jay Zawoski, David Schuster, Jordan Burnfield, all those guys, 670 guys. We appreciate them, especially Brandon Warren, other guy that popped on a few different times for us, and a million others. We thank you all, and be good.